I'm not a morning person, so getting up at 2 in the morning isn't always my favorite thing to do. However, going to the airport to fly to Mexico might just be worth it. Since we are traveling to a different country, we needed to be at the airport 2 hours earlier than departure. So even if the plane took off at 6, we would need to be there by 4. Getting up at 2, leaving at 3, and arriving at 4 is a task. However, we handled that no problem. After sitting and waiting, the PA finally made an announcement that boarding had begun. We waited our turn, but before we could get on the plane, the PA had something else to say. After further inspection of this plane, we had discovered a flat tire. This may take a while to fix. However, we will try to switch your scheduled plane with a neighboring one. This may take up to an hour. This was not the best news to hear, right now especially. Remember how I mentioned it takes an hour? Well, 4 hours later, the PA spoke up again. We are sorry for the wait, however the plane's ready to board. That was news we wanted to hear. We boarded, sat down, and waited for about 2 hours for our layover in Texas. However, due to the 4-hour delay, we only had 7 minutes to dash from one end of the airport to the other in Texas. We dashed through the mall of the airport. The ride went smoothly and we landed in time, finally in Mexico. After getting off the plane, the first thing we saw was a jam-packed airport trying to turn in passports. This caused a pile of stress to just topple over. This takes about another hour and a half of standing and waiting. After we finally get out, we are greeted with another crowd. Welcome to the world of tourist scams. A crowd of people trying to sell you items, currency, tickets, and other things. We eventually make it past the crowd into the transport van, which, may I mention, was a white van with nobody else in it. This takes us to a hotel we'd be staying at. We walked around the lobby for a bit after trying to check in. We turned to the front counter, occupied by only a couple of people standing behind the desk and a small line of people checking in. We wait our turn, and when we make it to the desk, we are the only ones left in line. We show them our receipt, which is what you're supposed to do, and they immediately say that was for the wrong day. Here we go again. They call someone from the back end, and they say it was for the right day. This argument continues for 3 hours before we finally get in. However, the person behind the counter gives up, and we just get their room for a week, which is what we paid for. Finally, we had somewhere to crash for the next 5 hours. Until the next day. I will spare you describing the fun part, however, when it was time to prepare to leave, the first step we had to take was receive a negative COVID test. We had brought home tests for us to take, however, the front counter had said that this test was not valid. Great, if we couldn't find another one, we'd be stuck here. However, after a bit more searching, we found an already set up testing center in the other hotel. We took that option and finally had negative tests. The next day, we made it to the airport using the same van, and we scanned our boarding passes and passports to leave. We sit and wait until the PA comes on. Boarding for gate, whatever we were, has now begun. We board the plane home, sat for 2 hours, and finally, we made it back.